Welcome back to the Dwarfs campaign Abridged, where last time I was babysitting Chaos to make sure they destroyed the world to my liking. With that all going fine, we just spent some time fighting the various skeletons and beastmen around our realm, defeating them and not achieving anything in particular along the way, just for my own amusement I suppose. We now have a showcase battle against the Bjornlings, who've attacked us with two armies at Firus. As usual, it's actually going to be one army after the other, so it's just two battles happening on the same battle map. It starts really well. Our devastated cannons completely annihilate their commander. They're a cannon unit with anti-large bonuses and with high accuracy, perfect for sniping commanders on mounts at the start of a fight. In comes this frost worm. Could be troublesome, but we have our green rocket launchers, and they absolutely annihilate this thing right off the bat. It might be because it has no armor or something like that, because this weapon, I believe, is an anti-unarmored target sort of thing. Shooting into mass infantry is its main use, which we'll be able to do in this battle. They're going to have tons of unarmored infantry, these Nausicans, perfect for blowing up all of these two-handed weapons guys who are all about attack. Simply won't be able to use their stats. They won't get close enough to make an attack. They do have some other more sturdy units, but that's not going to make much difference. Broadly speaking, along the line, they're not going to be making contact with us. It's going to be a bit different towards the left, where we have some more special things coming in. That group of infantry is out of the picture right away. But they did soak up a lot of shots onto a mammoth right here, and a second mammoth is now coming in. This one routes and tries to make its escape in the face of an axe bombardment. Looks like my Gatling gunners are facing the wrong way there. That's probably not helping. Here comes the second mammoth, rampaging into our lines. We'll be relying on these thunderers behind the line to shoot at them. Actually did see some reloading there. I do have the reloading mod installed that people were talking about earlier in the campaign. And this spot in particular just keeps heating up as two more dragons land to cause some kerfuffles. Inconvenient, but as mentioned, the rest of the line absolutely fine. Looks like a few of them got to us, but routed instantly. Really nothing happened across the rest of our battle formation. And at the hotspot, things get turned around because we just shoot into it from various directions. The dragons go down, the mammoth walks off, and that's that. For the first army at least. Now we fight that same battle again immediately against the second army forming up to join the attack. I think the reason the AI never combines its forces is because we outrange them, or we have more powerful ranged units. It defaults to a just charge in sort of scripted mode that doesn't take into consideration the idea that it could attack from multiple sides and stuff using its vast numerical superiority. So we just blow up this next army in a similar fashion, somehow don't run out of ammo. Here's their commander wandering about on the middle of the field. Not really going to go very well. That stroll ends in death, and that's probably going to be the end of the rest of his army too. We won that battle. It was easier than I expected. I was actually originally expecting a third army to be present, which might have tipped the balance if they actually used it at the same time as the second one perhaps. Instead, the third army diligently comes in after the second army, this time in a separate battle, and is also annihilated. That could have gone much better for the Bjornlings. They played that as terribly as they possibly could, and they were killed for it. So they're not going to be too much of a threat, it seems. I am now going to have a bit of a project, though. I decided to send Oldor and our main force to go off towards the Dwarven home territory. This is going to be an expedition to kind of rescue some dwarves or something like that. We're going to clear out the underway by using underway mode to walk over there, also avoiding corruption, and see if we can get into some drama over there. We're just stirring up drama once again for the purposes of using this as the basis for some kind of story. There goes the last of the Bjornlings on Firus, no trouble there. Oldor does encounter some beastmen as he travels. We get the beastman paths ambush thing because they try to walk past too close to us, and we take down one of their stacks. Well, that's handy. We just carry on after that, and we soon arrive at the edge of what remains of the old Dawi kingdom. The thing is, we don't have military access, so we're getting a relationship penalty for showing up like this. Interestingly, they've allied themselves to the skeletons on our border as well. That's highly suspicious. We can't get any deals with these guys because they just hate us. As part of our faction, they dislike us, and our technologies make them dislike us as well. Even if I slap absolutely ludicrous amounts of cash onto the table, They won't take it. This military access benefits them immensely, and I could pay them on top of that. They are not going to take it, so diplomacy is just out of the window. Well, we're going to prove it benefits them though, by actually helping them. As I moved north, I spotted a nearly dead Dwarven force being pursued by an army from Chaos. So let's step on in and get this thing going. Our first engagement with the actual forces of Chaos. It's a pretty decent army too, loads of max rank stuff and a few special units. We still have that balance bar advantage, but I thought let's do this manually, if only to show it off. It's going to be another case where the balance bar is actually even in a manual resolve. We have great terrain, we can sit on top of a hill and shoot our rockets down at them as they come up towards us. They actually couldn't see us, they were just charging to attack my gyrocopters, but that's going to cause them to come up and come into range of everything. It's not going to be quite so effective, our rocket bombardments now, because the enemy have high armor. Chaos has loads of armored units, and like right here, this knight unit just absolutely tanks a whole load of shots. Normally that would be enough to kill a unit. It only half dies. Well, we'll just have to shoot them twice as much, and it will still do the business. The gyrocopters are going to just brazenly fly over the enemy formation and try not to die. I'm flying them towards their hell cannon to take that out early before it blows up our easy to shoot static formation. We deploy the Thunderers to shoot at them, and that's going to do the business against these Chaos Dwarves. I suppose they are controlling the hell cannon. Up front, a few units will start to make their attack. These Chaos Spawn are rampaging on in. Wasn't too worried because we do have the Golden Guard right here, a super powerful melee defense focused unit, but immediately they start using magic on us, and this is another thing to worry about with Chaos. They are going to have some powerful magics they can use. We've avoided that mostly in this campaign, but it's going to be a risk against these guys, and in this case, that Golden Guard unit does get mostly killed. Now it's actually going to struggle a bit against those Chaos Spawn. At least the other parts of the line are looking okay. The mass infantry as it arrives is going to get rocketed and Gatling gunned. Not quite as effective as usual, but still pretty effective. Effective enough for a one-on-one stack clash to be in our favour, pretty much guaranteed. One unit's nearly dead as mentioned, but everything else is doing okay, apart from the Prospectors over here, who are not participating in the battle. I didn't see this when I was playing it live, but in the replay, the Greybeard's Prospectors weren't shooting at all, which might explain why our left flank wasn't going so well. We lost our Thunderers at the back. They were sacrificed to fight these Aspiring Champions, a super powerful infantry unit. That's absolutely perfect, because that means they weren't up here fighting our real units that don't despawn after the fight. This giant gets absolutely annihilated by a combination attack from Gatling guns and stone melters. Well, looks like we've won this one. Most of their stuff is dead or is about to rout. We did actually almost lose our Thane on the flank over here, just being hacked to pieces by their powerful infantry. I thought our Thane, who has all of the maximum level melee stat upgrade things, would just last out in a fight, but apparently not. In the end, it's a decent enough result with a couple of units looking a little bit battered. One thing we need to keep in mind is that when we're out here, we can't just replenish back to full strength instantly like we normally can. So losses matter a lot more. In fact, we'll take attrition above ground because of Chaos Corruption. We can sit in the encampment stance. This gives us a tiny bit of replenishment and avoids attrition, but because it's not real replenishment, we don't get all the massive bonuses to it we usually have. Well, we're going to carry on with our damaged army. Firstly, I wanted to finish off the guys I was just attacking. They run away, but in the process of pursuing them, we discover a more important target. Kholek Suneater is here, one of the main characters of the Chaos crew. One of the two Kholek Suneaters you might remember from last time. There's another one out there somewhere. This is the first one, I guess, since he's progressed so far down the map. It would be nice to take him out. He's also got a special Dragon Ogre army. These Dragon Ogres are something like a mix between a monster unit and a cavalry unit. He's got loads of them, a mix of smaller ones and bigger ones. The issue with these things is that they have this resilience trait, which gives them a resistance to missile attacks. I think I found it somewhere. They have like 40% missile resistance, and because we're mainly going to be doing missile damage, that does make them somewhat suited to be taking on our army. They appear to be inspired by the famous military strategies of the Tomb Kings. They're going to send somebody out to die first. It's strange because one random unit comes out, not a commander or anything this time. Everything else is staying together as they advance. Not quite sure what the plan with this is. It could be a probing attack. They're going to see how strong we are by sending this thing out. If I was fighting a human player, that might be a reasonable explanation. I think this guy is just a bit confused. Well, he does take a lot of punishment. Because of that missile resistance, it seems it takes our whole army to bring this guy down with tons of shooting. It eventually happens, but it was worryingly slow. Once he's dead, it's just in time for everything else to come into range. He was though one of the big ones. The little ones should be easier to kill, plus the fact that they're in units with multiple models means the area of effect damage on our green things will be more useful and do more damage overall. So then it's just the usual strategy for us. We'll see how the enemy cope with it. Once they're close, the Gatling guns will do their thing. Even with loads of our damage being blocked, they do so much damage that it's going to be pretty effective, especially against big single targets where everything's going to keep hitting them all the time. Here's the right idea, getting a flyer to stop our stone melters from shooting. Well, they didn't do it quite well enough. They're still shooting forwards into that melee in front of them. The rockets are missing wildly with the enemy changing course all the time as they flounder. At the back, we've got 2 hell cannons to deal with. Handily, they're kind of on top of each other, so we can shoot at one of them and hit the other one at the same time, and quickly kill them before they have any real influence on the battle. That all goes fine. And we're already winning this thing. The Dragon Ogres aren't going to break through this formation. Just the usual plan is working. Because they can't attack our ranged units at the same time as everything else, we're going to keep shooting them as the melees go on, and because they're tall, big targets, it's particularly easy to keep shooting at them. Kholek, though, is sufficiently powerful that even with everything shooting at him, he's still doing pretty well. Looks like some satchel charges are getting in there. He's using magic to break up some of the infantry at his feet. His hammer was doing the same thing. The Gatling gun is keeping a steady rain of shots on him, not doing quite enough to deplete that health at the speed we need it to stop him from killing a couple of our units. Well, not outright killing them, he just gets them down to low health and I run away. But then I realised we could use the tanks against him, both at range, because I think the tanks have an anti-large bonus on their cannon attack, but more pressingly, in melee. I don't want to be sacrificing infantry like these guys to keep this guy in position. So the tanks come in to just sort of awkwardly nudge him. Now he's not going to move away from this position, he'll waste time attacking the tanks, which doesn't matter that much, and get shot loads along the way. This is enough to bring him down. There we have it. Kholek Sun-Eater is quote-unquote dead. He's an immortal character, I think, so he's not really dead. But if you kill him at the same time as other characters, you can stop chaos or something. I can't quite remember the rules. And with 2 sets of the chaos crew on the field, those rules are probably out the window at this stage. There we have it then, another win. We're looking more damaged though, and our inability to replenish could betray us here. We need our frontline units to be somewhat alive for our plan to work, so even though everything else is okay, our capacity to fight has been diminished quite a bit. We need to replenish somehow, and I realise we're probably going to have to make a base over here somewhere, so that we have some territory and we'll get normal replenishment. The other option would be to disband the units and re-recruit them, which I think you can do if you're encamped, even if you're not in your own territory. Well, they're both about as slow as each other, but this one's a bit more reliable. We're going to push the enemy out of the way and just make a terrible level 1 settlement somewhere, which will then give us our massive replenishment buffs from technologies and traits. So now we can replenish pretty fast. We actually lost a bunch of troops to make this base, of course, so we're weakened temporarily. But after a while, after a few turns, we'll be back. So we'll take a break from our gallivanting, make a replenishment building there at Karakate Peaks, which you can do at level 1, and chill. We come back later after doing a bit of rebel farming at home for no particular reason, and then carry on with our little expedition. I wanted to finish off the local Chaos forces who just sat there the entire time I was waiting. They didn't do anything. Unfortunately, when we attack them then, they run away, and pretty far away too. As I mentioned, on the surface we constantly have chaos attrition, so it's annoying to pursue people across the surface. We'll be taking casualties, so I didn't bother going after them. What I actually thought I would do is, because I need to keep this base while I'm away, I'll make a new army here, but I'll use that cheat mod to make it in the style of the regular Dwarfs. This actually means we'll end up probably with an army that's worse than one we could recruit for ourselves, but it's a bit more thematic. We can get some local refugees or something in the plot of this campaign. to be the new army holding this position, to be some sort of rear guard for an evacuation, that sort of thing. Something is going on there. We go on to eventually successfully pursue the Shaggoth army, the Dragon Ogre army I should say, and finish them off. That's going to help. Then we're going to go towards the northwest. I can use the underway stance to handily skip all of these mountainous areas to advance pretty far each turn. We are though going to have to advance into Dwarven territory, and as before they're not happy about this, so our relationship will be getting worse and worse as I hang out in their lands, even though I'm trying to help them. I end up going to the west and spotting a chance to help them. We've got 2 Chaos armies here and 2 Dwarven settlements, one already under siege. The armies don't look like anything we couldn't deal with. We might even be able to take them on both at the same time. I noticed here, by the way, that the Chaos forces get a buff from raising stuff. I didn't remember that being a thing. Maybe that's a newer addition, since I used to be raising stuff as Chaos back when Warhammer first came out. Anyway, speaking of raising, my plan to save this area does not work, because both settlements get raised in the following turn, and that's that. Well, they ignored me at least. We're going to be free to attack the armies one at a time to make things easy for us. Let's go for the first one then. It's near enough to quickly go overland and get that balance bar. Looks absolutely fine. However, in the auto-resolve, it actually kills my Greybeard's prospectors. They weren't damaged or anything like that. He just decided to kill them and leave everything else alive. I remember that used to be a problem in old Warhammer as well. Units just randomly dying in one-sided auto-resolves. Well, I was pretty outraged by this, but I thought since they are a regiment of renown, we might be able to just get them back instantly, because you can re-recruit regiments of renown on the same turn they die to just have them come back to life if you can afford it. Unfortunately, you probably have to be in your own territory to do that, but we are cheating, as I've said, so we can just get them anyway using the mercenary recruitment mod, because you can recruit the Greybeard's prospectors units from this, including regiments of renown, and boom, we now have the Greybeard's prospectors back, although not quite actually. It says we're at full strength with the unit at first, but the thing over here, the card stats area, seems to claim we don't have full health. Not quite sure what that means, but after reselecting the army we've lost half the prospectors, and then when we get attacked by the nearby Chaos army, you'll see even fewer prospectors are still alive. Therefore we didn't quite cheat to get them back in the same way I wanted. We've ended up with them being 80% dead or something. Well, that's better than entirely dead, which is what the game wanted, I suppose. It's a balanced engagement, a nice looking fight for us right here. I'll do this at the start of the next part because I need to save footage once again. I mentioned in a previous community post, by the way, that I don't have that much time to actually get footage and edit it into these videos these days. Go read that if you want to know why my videos are sometimes shorter than usual these days. Anyway, let's try and kill these guys next time.